Welcome back to Get Down to Business. It's always a thrill each and every week when I could talk to amazing entrepreneurs, amazing founders, creators, people solving real problems. And that's why I am honestly super stoked and excited to be joined by Barton Scott, who meets all of that criteria. Frankly, he's also the author of a fantastic book. It's called "Are You Deficient?" I know you can get that on his website, upgradedformulas.com. Barton, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So you have a very interesting background. You have certainly, as I understand it, sort of grew up in under the mentorship of your dad, which may have led to your crazy passion for entrepreneurship, but also a commitment to health, performance, and nutrition. Barton, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, certainly. So the background, like you said, I studied chemical engineering, but what prepared me for that was wrestling. And just if anyone's ever, witnessed that sport, you can kind of see how difficult it is. It's part of the reason why most UFC people that actually do well are wrestlers, and that was great from a mindset standpoint, but what it really gave me was a lot of the nutrient deficiencies. And even though I became one of the top wrestlers in my weight in high school, by the time I was in college, I was very when I finally found a hair analysis to understand what my deficiencies were, I was so deficient, it looked like a 90-year-old's and a unhealthy 90-year-old's levels at that point. So the good news, I think, about what we're talking about is that you can reverse these things with good technology.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what you're doing right now, pioneering a new frontier in men and women's fertility, sleep, nutritional wellness, using new groundbreaking technology. So, who knew chemical engineering but it was more of those personal experiences. So let's get into the meat and potatoes. I don't know if those are good things for your performance and nutrition. Maybe we could talk about that. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of what you do and why your solutions are unique. Tell us a little bit about upgrade formulas.
What I discovered is that the size of the actual nutrient that you're taking in affects how easily you absorb it. So your body does, most people's bodies today, nearly everyone, they have low stomach acid. So their digestive system doesn't work very well at all, really. And the way you combat that is the way I figured out, at least, is to use nanotechnology equipment and change the particle size of things like magnesium, for example, so that you absorb it just as your body would from food, but without having to actually digest it. So the particles and really the particle size is small enough of the nutrient. Just think like big basketball hoop um, versus small basketball hoop. So the body now, or a huge basketball versus a really small one. So when you're taking normal supplements, what you're normally doing is trying to put a huge basketball inside of a small hoop. So for that to work, the body has to break it down. It has to break it down. And that doesn't work very well for most people because they have low stomach acid and other issues, leaky gut, all sorts of things from, you know, just, yeah, diet and environment. So what I figured out was how to change that particle size to make it so small that it could go into our red blood cells without digestion.
Mhm. When we were talking a moment ago before we actually kicked off the recording, is the way you summed it up in the military, we call it the bluff. The bottom line up front is making people better and healthier. And that's what you're doing, upgraded formulas. And I know you're getting ready to unveil a new book, Your Personality in a Pill, How and Why Nutrition Becomes Personality. But Barton, I mean, it's fascinating. It's amazing how much of how much progress you've made. And certainly, as we have this conversation on a business oriented program, we're having this conversation now in December when folks are very focused on those New Year's resolutions. But as entrepreneurs, a lot of folks are starting to think about how they can perform better, how they can be better and more productive and more efficient at what they do because every minute counts. So tell us what we need to know. Again, what are some of those things that you think, whether it's that appearance, like you say about hair, whether it's about just the energy levels. Again, what should we know about your upgraded formulas?
What I found out is that that's incredibly interesting is that we can look at, so we have a bunch of nutritionists that work for us, and they're a phone call away once you have your results, and they can go through these results, and what we find and what the book is about is how these interesting ways, things that we would label, from a psychiatrist standpoint as bipolar, or certainly from a business perspective, ineffectual, right? We're able to upgrade that, improve that, so that when you have more energy, you have more focus, you have more ability to deploy upon your given tasks and goals and dreams. And what I realized early in my 20s was, and the reason I started the company in part, besides losing my mother, feeling helpless in the process of getting her well, and ultimately just resolving, like, oh, there's got to be a different way. We have to be able to get these nutrients to absorb better. The other aspect of it was, well, I'm in my early and mid 20s at this point, and I'm just finishing chemical engineering. I'm studying to become a nutritionist as well, and starting to see people and help them. And I'm realizing, man, it really is. It comes down to how much energy we have. If we have the insight, if we have, because what I realized is you could be a very smart person, and if you didn't have the enough energy, you wouldn't have the follow through for your great ideas. So that's how everything comes in. So I think about sleeping really well. I think about you know the correlation between sleep and how much energy you have the following day. And when you sleep really well, when you can prove that even 20%, 10%, 5%, you have a drastic shift. So we did a clinical trial on one of the supplements I put out called upgraded magnesium. And using this new technology, it's not about the form, this form or that form of magnesium. It's about the delivery system. It's kind of saying, like, it's not this car or that car. It's, we're going to take a different transportation method. Like, we're going to take a jet now, a subsonic jet, and this allows for nutrients to be absorbed much, much better, like nearly completely at a cellular level without even needing digestion. So this allows us to get rid of these mineral deficiencies in the body that we all have. Literally, literally everyone has these. And it also helps us push out heavy metals. And this helps our thyroid to work better so we get more energy, our adrenals to work better so we have more sustained follow through, so we sleep better, so we crave sugar less, all these things. So all of these things are really just tools for being a better entrepreneur, is how I see it.
Absolutely. I'm chatting with Barton Scott, the founder of Upgraded Formulas, available at upgradedformulas.com. Barton, I want to, in our last few minutes, talk a little bit, take our listeners behind the scenes. You are not only a genius, but really having an impact on thousands and thousands, perhaps many, many more when you think about the ripple effects in businesses and families and so on people's lives and businesses. But you are an entrepreneur. Did you ever think, as a chemical engineer, that you would be running your business, running a business? And what are some of the surprises about entrepreneurship that you've experienced that might be beneficial to demystify for our listeners?
Well, thank you for that. And it, I think I always wanted to be calling my own shots and charting my own path. And also, I knew that I needed to work for a company. I worked for a couple major oil companies, for example. Didn't love it. It wasn't a calling. Just needed the experience of working hard, doing good work, and and hating it really, and knowing, but developing the skills of working hard and working well and building teams and selling and all these different things.
Mhm.
And I would say the valuable, some of the other valuable things that I learned along my path was just the value of going out and building resilience and getting comfortable with rejection, getting comfortable with locking onto a goal, and just really building that muscle of becoming rejection proof.
Yeah.
So that to me was direct sales. And
It's not always the success stories. There's a lot of challenges along the way,
right.
and I know you've experienced that. In fact, your company was a lot of the stories based on some of the loss that you've experienced personally. Barton, really enjoyed our conversation. Want to make sure our listeners can find your company, find your products. How can they do that?
Upgradedformulas.com is the best place to go. And we'll be doing some gift cards soon for Christmas if you're thinking of other people in your life.
Fantastic. Barton, thanks so much for telling your story. Can't wait to bring you back on real soon. Looking forward to celebrating your successes and learning from you some more. Barton Scott, upgradedformulas.com. Quick break on Get Down to Business. We'll be right back.
Such a pleasure.